Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Kevin and Ken from Diet Punk band Guardrail to the podcast. Guardrail released content back on July 7th via Open Your Ears Records. The guys discuss the origins of Diet Punk, their lifelong friendship which led to Guardrail, being content creators as much as musicians, and more. Links to content will be in the show notes. There will be a bonus pod on Saturday, so make sure you are subscribed to the podcast on your favorite podcast service of choice. Enjoy today's chat with Kevin and Ken from Guardrail.
Called life. I gave it the old college try, but I jumped out, so I'm under my back.
It's raining, and our landlord has like landscaper people out here like weed whacking. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? It's raining right now. Wait till it's over.
That's like last week or like a month ago when like the air quality was just like utter shit and deadly to be outside. People are mowing their lawns, and I'm like, why are you just making things worse? What is wrong with you?
Oh my god, yeah.
It's good times. So welcome. Is it just the two of you?
Yeah. The rest of us are all either working or our drummer Doug just had a baby, so he's on dad duty right now. And
wonderful.
Our bassist just started a new job this week, so she's dealing with that, and then our other guitarist Zach does voiceovers for advertisements, so he's doing that right now. So it's just us two.
That's a lot of fun. Yep. That's awesome. Well, welcome. Thanks for hanging out.
Of course.
Appreciate it. Let's start the conversation. I'm not going to start at the beginning. Let's start with Diet Punk. What made you, for this record, choose to genreify yourself as Diet Punk? Is that just like a gimmick for social media? And I don't mean gimmick in a bad way, but like a thing, like a genre title for like to stand out? Or is there something about the music where you're like, this is lesser than punk? I don't know. Right?
Dude, yeah. So we've been calling ourselves this for a long time. Basically, it came from just a joke. We're always just kind of our just band sense of humor is just we're always just throwing puns and like dumb weird jokes like that out. And a long time ago, I don't know, 5 years ago maybe, I was writing an Instagram post. And writing out the hashtags, and I get to the hashtag, support local music. And then I jokingly put support low cal music, like low calorie. Mm-hmm. And our guitarist at the time, Mike, made a comment that, oh yeah, that's because we're Diet Punk. We have fewer calories. And we kind of laughed it off. And I think I might have put hashtag Diet Punk on whatever post that was too. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, that it's got a nice ring to it. It's not saying we're pop punk because kind of every band's pop punk at this point now,
right?
But it's kind of our own sort of way of saying like, yeah, we're pop punk, but we're not like sad boy Midwest pop punk, but we're not quite as poppy as like Good Charlotte or even like Blink, but we kind of are, but we're not like punk like Rancid, but we take some influence from those kinds of bands, Rancid, No Effects, stuff like that. So we're kind of like we pull influence from all over the punk umbrella and sort of combine that into what sound we have today, and we just decided to call it Diet Punk because it's just a little bit of each, one ingredient from each,
Nice. What's the Austin Power joke, right? Like diet evil, just 1 calorie of evil.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Just 1 calorie of punk. Because you're a band that you could ride the pop punk wave. Like I feel like there's a pop punk resurgence right now, or like with Fall Out Boy back, you could be like, we're emo like that again, and like it would fit just as well. But Diet Punk is like its own thing that I don't know. Does that help in like algorithms, or just like is it just like a fun inside joke where we like it, so who gives a fuck?
It's kind of that. Yeah, I mean, we have T-shirts now that say Diet Punk that looks like the Diet Coke logo, but it says Diet Punk. We had that on koozies for a while too. We had buttons with it. I think there's one on my backpack right here. No, not this one. But yeah, I mean, we it's just sort of become our little gimmick, and yeah, it's just sort of our fun way of saying this is who we are. We're a little different, and it's kind of nice because we're not saying that we are this type of band.
Yeah,
kind of our genre is sort of like a joke we made up, so we can kind of fit wherever. Like we've opened up for bands like the Queers, and then also opened up for bands like Enter Shikari, and then opened up for Jarrett from Bowling for Soup, and some super poppy, like opened up for like Hot Milk. So we're kind of all over the place because we didn't back ourselves into a certain genre corner, so it's
nice.
kind of nice.
Nice. Let's go back in time. Where'd both of you grow up?
We both grew up in Schaumburg, actually, and met in what, fourth grade, fifth grade, somewhere around there.
It would have been fifth grade, yeah. So, yeah, suburbs of Chicago. We met in Catholic school in fifth grade, yeah.
Good times. What was growing up like?
Very sheltered, I'd say.
Yeah, both of us came from very similar kind of family structures and just environments, and we both bonded over. We said on a podcast recently. You brought it up, SpongeBob, and I brought up Weird Al. Like those were the two things that we like bonded over as like 11-year-olds, and kind of went from there. And then we kind of just became friends, and we're just drawing comic books together and making dumb movies with our parents' video cameras, and you're just talking about music all the time, making mix CDs and all this shit, and then we both got guitars right around like 8th grade. And a few years later, started our first band together when we were like 16, and like junior year of high school, I think. And we've been playing a band together ever since.
Nice. And this is like a lifetime friendship that it's just continuing on, and that love for music is what keeps
You're
the
my boy,
bond
Blue.
there.
Exactly. Yeah. If we go back and listen to like the first few, especially the first band we were in, it's just like, wow, what were we doing? But it's
still done.
Yeah, it's a very slow progression into, like, I think content's probably the most satisfied I've felt, like putting music together with, especially this group. It just keeps going up, and we'll keep riding that upward wave, I guess.
Nice. You mentioned Weird Al. What got each of you into music?
I don't know, man. I've always just been drawn to just the music and all the Disney movies I watched, and I'd always had like I hated just as a kid just being in the car in silence. I was always asking my parents to throw a little cassette tape on with little Sesame Street songs or whatever the hell, and so I kind of was always drawn to it in a way, and I remember I like drew a little comic book. I made a little band that was like just 3 little monkeys playing like punk rock or something like that. Like drew them with little mohawks when I was like 8 or 9. Like I kind of always was just sort of drawn to it, and I kind of wish I got into music sooner. I was trying to do the sports thing because a lot of my friends were involved in sports. So Ken included. He was in basketball and stuff, but I was a runt and was not very coordinated and wasn't good at anything. I wasn't good at fucking t-ball, like, so it was, I kind of wish I got into it a little sooner than 8th grade, but I mean, whatever. I've been a late bloomer and everything, so why not being a musician?
Yeah,
it's kind of a similar story to what Kevin was saying, where I think recently my family found like really old home videos, like when I was probably a year old or something, and just like slamming my hands on like a little toy piano or something, and just but I think I still do that. Don't know how to play piano well, but I think sometime around 8th grade or 7th grade, when Kevin and I were just hanging out and listening to music more and more often, and like probably Weird Al was like the gateway into, it's like, oh, these songs are really funny, and then actually finding out what songs he was parodying.
Yeah,
like, oh, these are the actual songs. And then kind of slowly expanding out into I don't know. At first, it was like classic rock stuff, and then slowly into like heavier music and punk music. But I'll give Weird Al the credit.
Yeah,
for the music expansion.
I was first into like pop music. Like my first concert ever was the Backstreet Boys back in like '99. Yeah. So I was super into like that kind of stuff. And then seeing punk bands on TRL, I was kind of like, seeing Blink and, Newfound Glory, Good Charlotte and stuff like that. I'm seeing those guys on TRL, and I was like, oh, these don't seem like celebrities. They seem like regular dudes. And that kind of opened my eyes a little bit as like a little 10-year-old naive kid who was still trying to figure himself out. I mean, still am, almost 34, but it's that was kind of my evolution. So like Weird Al and like comedy stuff like that, and then the pop music, and then just gradually into what I am now.
Nice. What led you both to guitar?
Good question.
I mean, Kevin sings, so, but I've never had a solid singing voice, or even so. I was also just probably terrified to sing as well. And when I first started getting into like those classic rock bands at the time, like Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, I think I was just drawn to the guitar playing and the riffs, and was like, I want to do that. And yeah.
I think for me, guitar was kind of just like my stepping stone. I ended up becoming primarily a bass player. And it was mostly because when we were starting that first band, there wasn't a bass player. And I was like, you had kind of already started the band with a couple friends of ours and didn't have a bass player really. And I was like, I'll play bass. Sure. Mark Hoppus is my hero. Fat Mike's my hero. That's cool. So I picked up a bass, and like 2 weeks later we played our first show, and I only played bass for like 2 weeks at that point.
Nice.
We played our first show, but yeah, I mean, I fell in love with bass just because it was such a different instrument to playing guitar. I'd already been playing guitar and taking lessons for a couple of years, and then picking up bass, I was like, man, I'm really understanding what bass's like role here is. And I went into that, and then like I started singing just because I just wanted to develop a voice to where I could sing backups.
Yeah.
So I was like in my early 20s, I was delivering pizzas, so I would just practice singing in the car every day when delivering those pies, and I developed a voice that I have now, and now I'm the front man. I don't know what happened. I went from bass player to front man. I don't know how that happened.
Nice. I was gonna ask if there was like a choir at the Catholic school or something that you were involved in, but just delivering pizza.
No, yeah. I couldn't sing for shit till I was like in my 20s already. So,
oh man.
I remember recording the best first step to someone who wants to try to figure out how to learn to sing is like record yourself so you can hear yourself. Because I thought it sounded good, and I recorded myself in my car, and I played it back, and I was like, Jesus Christ. I sound like I'm singing from my nose. I was like, I was like, man, this sounded so much cooler in my head. So I kind of knew. Oh, my dogs are freaking out. But yeah, I kind of just was like, okay, now I know where to go from here. So
nice. How did Guardrail get started?
Man, so we had been, Ken and I have been playing in bands for a while. We played in probably like three bands or so before Guardrail together, and we just like none of them were punk really. They were all kind of like hard rock, alternative kind of stuff, and my fiance just left, so if you hear my dogs crying, that's why. But yeah, so we were in this band together, and we were trying to figure out, every member of that band wanted the band to sound different, so that band was starting to kind of just fall apart because of that, because everyone was writing stuff that just sounded so different. And like you can have like our band's, Guardrail has some stuff that sounds a lot different, but it still all sounds like us. And this other band just wasn't working. And then I went to a show. I went and saw the Swellers play, and I think the bands that were with them were like, I think it was like Lost Years and like maybe Counterpunch. And I was just like, why am I not in a band like this? This is like all I listened to. I just like, as a bass player, I was always drawn to like where I was needed, you know, which was typically hard rock bands. I was in a metalcore band for a while too. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to write a punk song. So I wrote a punk song. It was, you know, the double time drums. I brought it to the band that we were in at the time. And I was like, what do you guys think? And the other guys were like, it sounds a little too like punk for us. And I was like, Jesus, stick a knife in my heart. And so I just posted, I kind of sat with it for a little bit. Then I posted on Facebook like a month or two later, like, who wants to start a punk band? And Ken messaged me after he saw that post. He's like, yo, you guys sign me up. So I was like, all right, cool. And then that song ended up becoming a song that was on our first EP that we put out called, the song was called Sincerely Me. And that's how Guardrail pretty much started. I just had people see my Facebook posts. We met up at a bar and hashed it out. You know, that lineup of dudes didn't stick around in the long run, but yeah, it was kind of a side for fun thing for a while. And then, about, 5-6 years ago, we kind of really started trying a lot harder, and here we are.
Nice. Where'd the name come from?
Man, well, we were doing those initial meetups, trying to talk about starting this band. We were trying to come up with a name, and I don't even remember like any of the ideas that we had, but the song Guardrail by Bayside just popped on my iPod at the time, and I was just like, it's kind of a cool word.
Yeah.
So I brought it up to Ken and the other dudes, and I was like, what do you guys think? And they're like, well, it's better than anything we've come up with so far. So, and it sounds like it would be like a punk rock band, so that's fine. Let's just roll with that, and then we rolled with it.
Nice. What led you guys to open your ears?
So, Open Your Ears kind of found us in a way. So, we had an Indiegogo to raise some funds for the Yikes EP,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy, Neil, who's an internet friend of mine, he's sort of at the time was sort of working for Open Your Ears, but now he's just like straight up just is one of the guys from the label now, and but he contributed to the Indiegogo, and the thing was for anyone who contributed gets first listen to like any of the once you get the first mixes back, mm-hmm. you guys will get a private link to check it out. So he contributed to the Indiegogo. The perk that he bought was we'll sing you happy birthday on your birthday. So when his next birthday rolled around, we had to send him a video of us singing happy birthday to him. But so he heard that and was just like, hey, this is really good. Do you mind if I pass this along to like the label that I kind of work for? And I was like, duh, dude, please do. So he did, and that was right when COVID started.
Yeah,
like that was March of 2020 was when this all came about, and so we were just gonna put a song out on April Fool's Day. We put out the shortest song that was on that record, and just were like, hey, we're not sure what the hell's going on. We were gonna release it just ourselves in April, and things just weren't happening. But I was still in talks with Adam from the label, the owner, and he was saying, hey, do you mind holding off? Like, I kind of want to come see you guys before I sign you. I was like, yeah, sure, man. And then like all the shows that we had got postponed or canceled. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, well, do you have any videos of you guys playing live? Like, I really want to get the ball rolling on this because I really like these songs. And I was like, yeah, dude, sure. So we like compiled a video of like, it was probably like a half hour, somewhere between a half hour to 40 minutes of like just footage of us playing, just and everything we could find. We just compiled it and sent it off to him. He's like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. So and so we ended up signing with them, and they've been nothing but great to us.
guys just released this brand new record, Content. Talk to me about the process of writing this record, and it's a pretty diverse record in songs. Like there's some really great upbeat pop songs, like pop punk, like it's all over the place, kind of that Diet Punk vibe of pulling in from everything.
Yeah, a lot of the songs actually started, I think, or we started writing individually during like lockdown and when there was not much else to do.
Right.
Like I wrote a few of the songs, not even knowing if they would be Guardrail songs. It's just kind of creative, just output when there was nothing else to do. And then I sent it to the rest of the group, and everyone was like, "This is cool. Let's mess with these." And then like Kevin had a handful of songs written, started, and same with Doug and Alyssa. They all had like the skeletons of the songs pretty much. And once we were able to all kind of meet up together again and just either jam them out in the practice space or get together and kind of puzzle piece them together on our computers, like it was a pretty long process looking back at it, but I felt like a year of that was us not being able to completely get together and work on it together.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was during all those, the lockdown and everything. So like, we were all just kind of, we had times where we were just like, hell yeah, I knocked out like 2 song ideas yesterday, and then like weeks would go by before another idea came to my brain. Like it was so just emotionally exhausting for everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone can relate to this shit. But like, but yeah, it's funny, 'cause, like what you just said, like come to think of it, it was kind of a long process, and like, yeah, it kind of was, but time was like standing still and also flying by at the same time. I don't
right.
It's so strange, but
See, I think we had 15, 20 songs near completed at the end of 2021.
Yeah, we had like 30-ish ideas, and we kind of narrowed them down to about like 15 to 20 that were like the most complete or like the best ideas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we went up to work with Nick Diener, the Swellers, and do some pre-production. And I don't know, half of those songs got totally turned upside down and into better songs, which is why we love working with him.
Yeah.
And then I think we spent another few months just tweaking those songs, and I think finishing up vocal melodies and leads and all that. And then we finished all the guitars and bass and everything here at my place, and got the drums recorded, I think, early last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we started in late January of last year.
And then June of last year, went back to Nick Diener and recorded vocals, and then another year went by before the album came out. So
is that just waiting for vinyl to be ready?
It was waiting for mixes, waiting for the label. We intentionally set out to put this out like late last year, but just like the mixes were taking a long time to get to us, and then the label wasn't gonna just release Open Ears is a small label. They only have a handful of bands, and they didn't want to like oversaturate and like have things conflict and put this record out this week and then 2 weeks later put out another one. They wanted to stagger their releases, and then we finally kind of hashed out with their team that early July I was like, I don't want to do any later than that. It's been so long at this point, and they're just like, after I think the last band that put out a record through them was, I know the Burden put out a record, and another one down put out like a deluxe edition of their record, and then it was our turn. So we were like, man, cool, let's do it. And when we were figuring it out, they're like, okay, we can announce it a month before that, so we can announce it in June. And Doug had his baby in June, so his baby was due, or technically, actually, baby came a little early, came in late May, but still we wanted to get it out before then, so he didn't have to worry about it. But
Right.
it wasn't going to work. But it was like, well, what if we put it out in July? Like by July, will you still be good to like play a record release show and stuff? And Doug's like, yeah, that should be fine. So we're like, all right, that works. So it kind of worked with our personal lives. It worked with the label schedule. And when we were talking about it too, they're like, okay, we can announce it about a month beforehand. So we can announce it on maybe like June 9th. Does that sound good? We're like 6-9. Of course that's good with us. So that was our plan.
Where'd the title of the record come from? Is that some commentary on the commoditization of music, or?
Yeah, and it's not even like us trying to be deep. It was just like a fucking joke that we were like, hey, that kind of has a nice ring to it. That's kind of right up our alley. Well, we were recording the vocals for the songs last June. We were one night we're just sitting around the outdoor fire pit at the Airbnb, drinking beers, eating burgers, and just kind of hanging out and trying to figure out what to call these songs. Because at the time, out of the 12 songs, I think only 2 of them had actual titles. The rest all had like silly joke working titles, like Santa Claus is coming to Pound Town and Nice Hole, Nice Soul, and stuff like that. So we were, just looking at, okay, what should we call this song? What do we call this? And we're like, we need to come up with a name for the album too. Fuck, we didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And we were just shooting ideas back and forth. And then I don't even remember who said it, but one of us was just like, we should just call it content because we're content creators. Because we were just talking earlier that day about the fact that, it's tough for us to just be a band because you also have to be content creators and you have to have an online personality, and you constantly, like we just today we're talking with Open Ears about signing up, making a profile for that Threads thing that Instagram's version of Twitter basically. And I was like, Jesus Christ, another one. But so we did, one of us came up with that idea. We're just like, fuck it. That's kind of funny. Let's roll with it. So here we are. We're content creators. Here's our content.
Yeah. It's like a pain in the ass where it's like, hey, we know you wrote these songs, but now you have to do dumb shit over here on TikTok, or so people will know about your band, but they'll probably never listen to your music because they just like watching the dumb shit over here.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have some friends of mine that their label signed to, or their band signed to a kind of bigger label, and they're just like, yeah, we have like a schedule, like a social media schedule. They're like, you have to make this many posts this week and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh man, they're just like, I mean, we're doing it. I mean, we got to do what we got to do. But like, it's definitely like, it takes so much energy away from actually just like being a band, being musicians.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough. But I mean, luckily our band's kind of silly, so it's a lot easier for us to kind of come up with content to post on our shit. Like.
Yeah.
I mean, I just last night was like, had a funny idea for a video to promote our record release show this weekend. Everyone send me videos of your dogs and cats because I have an idea. So, I mean, you'll see it. I'm going to edit it tonight. So just thinking of silly shit is kind of in our wheelhouse because we're a bunch of silly kids. So.
Yeah. I was watching a bunch of your music videos, and it's like, I think like, as YouTube like has risen in prominence and importance to music, like the music video is important. It's like, it's not just like, here's us playing at the club. It's like, here's a story we're trying to tell, even if it's just us acting like jackasses. Like, and that seems to be an area you guys thrive as a band, like the music video and the creative side of that.
Yeah, the jackass aspect.
Yeah,
the jackass aspect. Oh my god. Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, our plan for this record is to put out some sort of video for every song, whether it's a music video, a lyric video, just something that we slap together on our iPhones. Or I had an idea of just maybe doing one where we're just eating ice cream and we just put the lyrics on the screen. Like, just, I don't know, just something for every song. Just we already did 4 of them. So we're gonna just, every month or so, just put out something fresh so that it pops up and we get the people back to listening to the album again, and so we're gonna try and do that. MXPX did that for their last record, and I was like, yeah, that's genius. We should definitely do that too.
I know for a fact their record that's coming out, MXPX, there's a video for every song.
Yeah, I'm sure they're keeping that up. So
so it's it's crazy.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite bands. I have their guy tattooed right here on my arm.
Nice.
Boom,
Nice.
right
Oh,
there.
that's
Oh,
cool.
There it is.
I walk in Friday night. For once I'm feeling alright. The lights are low.
Well, your drummer just had a baby. That probably impacts touring. What's the rest of this year look like now that the record's out?
Yeah, man. So you know, for the time being, Doug's just playing our local shows here in Chicago. So he'll be playing our show this Friday at Bottom Lounge, our album release. And then this weekend we're also playing up in Michigan in Grand Rapids and playing in Toledo, Ohio, just to kind of round out the weekend. So Doug's not coming with us for anything out of town. So we have a buddy of ours filling in for those shows. We did a little weekender run last month where another friend of ours filled in for him. And so we have some shows coming up. Everything we have booked now is in the Chicago area, so we're still those are still kind of under wraps until this weekend's over. But yeah, we're gonna try and get going and get out of the Midwest later this year. Whether it's with Doug or with someone filling in for him on drums. So yeah, looking at maybe October, November, December, kind of trying to leave the Midwest finally, because we've only really toured around here. I think the furthest we've gotten out of here is like Nashville. So trying to make it out to the East Coast. Our label's based in Richmond, Virginia, so we're trying to get out that way, and even like down in Texas and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just gonna keep playing some shows. Now that the album's out, we can finally like breathe a little and be like, it's out. We don't have to worry about this anymore. It's fucking, it's out. Everyone can hear it. Everyone can hear these songs. We can play these songs because so many of them were like, we don't want to play them until the record's out, And so now we can finally play everything that we want. We can kind of just take the next year or so and just really focus on getting our name out there and getting these songs out there and playing out. And so trying to figure that out for the rest of the year. Booking tours is hard when we don't have a booking agent. So
yeah,
shit. If you're a booking agent, and you're listening. Fucking, please, dear God, hit me up.
Yeah, I think it's super hard too for like smaller bands and more independent bands because like the tour packages are still so stacked and constant. People just trying to make up from that lost year and a half.
Dude, tell me about it. We were trying to do a little weekender out in the Richmond, Virginia area, and kind of just over there. I was just looking for like whether it was there, DC, Baltimore, or even like Philly or something like that. And I had no luck. I reached out to so many different venues and bands, and we either didn't hear back, heard that band already was playing a show that day or that weekend. That venue was already booked. I had one venue just say not interested. I'm like, damn, all right. But like, yeah, it was just I went like a month and a half and just no luck. And I was like, I guess let's just do something a little more local where we have a little bit more of a relationship with these places, and we were able to do something in Quad Cities and then in Indiana instead. But man, it's hard out there.
Yeah. It seems like you guys are focused on this record still and making it big, and not like we're sick of it because these songs are like 3 years old.
No, I mean, we're stoked to get them out there. I mean, we did a little like album listen along with Shane from Silverstein on his Twitch stream last week, the day before the record came out.
Nice.
And seeing people's reactions to them, that people that were just random fans of Shane's or just people that knew who we were or whatever, like seeing their reactions to the songs that we've never played live and had no reaction to yet was pretty cool, because a lot of the songs we were kind of just like, yeah, we like the song, but I don't think it's our best. And then those were the songs that people were just like, this song's amazing, this is my favorite one, and we're just like, that one, okay, interesting, good to know, okay. So it's always interesting to see other people's perspectives on it, because there's songs that we think are the best ones, and then other people say otherwise. So who the fuck are we? We're fucking idiots, apparently.
Yeah. Once it's out there, it's out of your hands and out of your control.
Exactly.
Up to the people.
Can't believe I'm holding on to you.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tomb. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song. One good word and I'm gone. Oh, as the story grows, the more I want to know, the more I want to show you. As the story grows, as the story grows. You can create something lasting and great, something passionate and real. And I'll bring in my own good feelings, I'll sing it with meaning. Let's just attack it and never look back. It's wild and fantastic. All together at full power, we're so much better. What's that word?